Welcome, everyone, to the Meaningful Hearts Podcast, where we discuss the everyday questions that make us or break us if we let them. I am your host, Drew. Take my hand and let's walk this journey together. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. Today, I want to talk about why you aren't good enough. Why you are just lackluster. Well, maybe that's what we tell ourselves, right? We tell ourselves these mean things. We bully ourselves. We beat ourselves up. We see the potential and beauty in other people. We comment and tell people the closest to us that you guys are incredible, or you're smart, you're great, you're this, you're that. But when it comes to us, our own self, we beat ourselves up and we go, man, you ain't shit. And it's like, damn, that's how I feel? Poor self-image, the way that I look at myself. It sounds horrible, right? We can't cheer on the home team. There's no team spirit here. I mean, would you want to be part of a team where everyone felt hopeless? No, right? But here we are, not even cheering on the home team, giving comments away, all these things, but for ourselves, though, no love for the home team. We are our best and worst teammate. It is our duty to be a beacon of hope for our team. It is our duty. It is our duty to be a beacon of hope for ourselves. It is important. It's important to stress this because the narrative, who or what we say to ourselves, is of the utmost importance. It's how we get up every day. It's how we do everything. It's how we speak. It's how we write. It's how we carry ourselves. It's our posture. It's in everything that we do. It's in everything that we do. We have to be kind to our inner child, right? We have to be kind to it. That inner child wants to see us grow into the best possible version of ourselves. That was that hopeful child when you were younger. That's us now. But the problem is that our outside adult reprimands that inner child, scolds them for having the audacity to consider even trying harder or being better or doing something creative. The adult says, I'm the adult here. You listen to me. I've seen the world and I know of its horrors. You need to be realistic and choose the safe, proven way. The inner child feels hurt and confused, and that outer adult feels justified. But in the end, nobody wins. It's a battle, right? You're this adult. You're the outer adult. You're reprimanding that creativity inside of you, that hopefulness, that excitement. The adult wishes to reconnect with that inner child, but at one point in time in their life, they disconnected. And it comes from disenchantment from your youth. We were told by our parents that it's time to grow up and become an adult. The question looms, though, what does that mean? What does that mean to become an adult? You know, to be mature, and what is maturity? For some of us, that meant getting a job, and for others, that meant, moving out or becoming more financially responsible for everything, right? Maybe we chased our dreams and came up short, or we came up big, but in the end, we lost sight of what we were chasing all along. Doing things for the wrong reasons and passing this info along as gospel because, well, that's what adults do. We know best. But somewhere along the lines, we became disconnected with our hopeful inner child, that youthful person inside of us. We lost ourselves there. We become bitter. We become really bitter. And this is something that I've struggled with on and off for a very long time. I let the child play, and then I suppressed that inner child, and I became the adult that knows better. But I always felt bitter when I did that. I always felt disconnected. I always felt less creative. I felt less alive. There's a balance there. There's a balance that you have to sit there and work through. You can't just roam free and do things on a whim. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, listen, sit down with your inner child, speak to them. See where you're missing out. See where you could have a little more fun. See where you could think of things in a creative way that maybe you haven't because you're just such a practical person. And that sounds like an impractical thing. Well, it's okay to play. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to make fun of yourself. Lightheartedness. It's not okay to beat yourself up every day. It's not okay to do that. It's not okay to say things about yourself that are horrible. Saying that you're dumb, saying that you're stupid, saying that you're ugly, in passing, says a lot about how you truly feel about yourself. Now, you might say it's just a light joke, it's a light little whatever, but in reality, part of that is true. Part of what you are saying about yourself is true. It comes from suppressed feelings about yourself, past failures, things that you went through in your life that are unresolved, and you bury them. Because what do adults do? Adults move forward, and adults bury things inside of them. Because, well, there's no time to cry about it. I have to move forward and do something about it. Now, I'm a big believer in action. There's nothing wrong with pushing forward, persevering, and taking action on something. There is nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that how you go about that, how you go about changing, how you go about learning. You have to understand that there is still a process that goes in that. You have to resolve some of the issues that you have. Where did you go wrong with whatever you were into that you failed at? Where did you go wrong with that? Well, you can't just say, hey, you know what, I just suck at this and move forward. No, that's not the best way to go about it. The best way to do is dissect it, break it apart, see where it went wrong. Where did I fail? Did I have a plan? Did I not have a plan? You have to hold yourself in high court. You have to actually put yourself on trial and say, well, I can't just chalk this up as a loss just because. There has to be factors. There has to be factors in there that you failed with. You must have dropped the ball because maybe you didn't go about it the right way. You didn't have a plan or you didn't have a clear-cut idea of what you wanted to do. You ever think of that? There's a lot of times that we fail. We haven't given things a fair shake because maybe we lost interest. That's possible. You could say, hey, listen, you know what? I just wasn't interested or I just wasn't that into that thing. But don't say or don't mark it off on your record as being stupid or lazy or incompetent, because you know what happens as time goes on? Those become your beliefs on how you attack or address challenges going forward. This is how you become. This is how you become less able to do things in your life because of past performances and your beliefs of your past performances. And your inner child is the nurturer of these things. The inner child is forgiving and understanding and knows that just because you fail does not end anything, does not ruin your chance with anything. Because children will persevere and keep pushing forward, regardless of the odds, regardless of the facts. They'll push and persevere. They'll push and push and push because they know no bounds. And as adults, this is something that we lose. We disconnect because we become more practical creatures. We know everything about anything, and that child knows nothing. But what we always forget is what we learn from children at play. How they enjoy themselves and they let themselves free, and they just play. They just play. They engage. The world is tremendous to them. It's endless possibilities. That's something that we forget as adults. And that's something that we should always go back to. So what I'm asking you guys to do is to connect with your inner child. Look back at who you once were. Look back at some of the dreams that you had, aspirations. Maybe things that you gave up on because you felt, well, this was a bad idea. This was something that I wanted to do, I had high hopes for, but at a certain age, I decided that this was a childish thing and that I should no longer pursue it. Or maybe it was your parents. Your parents told you, this is not realistic. Get a real job. Do something. You can't just paint pictures all day. You can't just, play with Legos or, play around with your video camera. Whatever it was that you did that you thought maybe one day would materialize into something real, and you just did it all the time, regardless of whether you were getting paid or not. You just did it at your leisure for hours. I want you to revisit whatever that one thing was, 3 things were, 4 things, whatever it was. I want you to revisit those things. And I want you to kind of reconnect with that person. Bridge that gap where it once was. Communicate with that person. I want you to write down what that felt like. I want you to try to revisit what that felt like to be that person and how life looked to you at that point in your life and what life looks like to you now. What does it look like? How does it feel? Do you feel better? Do you feel fulfilled in your life currently as it sits? Or do you feel less fulfilled and wish that you can go back and play and be more realistic? I guess maybe not realistic, but be more open-minded to possibilities and fun. Because I think somewhere along the lines, we lost track of the fun and the possibilities, and we became these practical creatures that just criticize and critique all the time. And then we just forget about ourselves. We forget about who we once were. We lose complete track of that. And I know that can happen at times when we become more competitive or we're doing things for other reasons, right? When money's involved, when finances are involved, right? Things become real. Things become, listen, this isn't the game I'm playing here. I don't have time for this. I have to do this because it's my livelihood, right? We become serious contenders in this world. Well, I want you to reconnect with that child that knew what it was like to play and laugh. I want you to go on adventures. If you have children, reconnect with them and just watch them. Listen to what they say. Ask them questions. Give them paper to draw on or things to write down and see what their answers are. As bizarre as they may sound, it might jog a little bit of the inner child in you back and say, you know what? Wow. It's awesome. It's revitalizing to feel that way once again, to think that everything is possible and I can do more. And maybe you'll revisit something or an idea that you had that actually is executable as an adult. And you might want to say, you know what? Let me give this a run. Let me give this a shot. This is something that I really wanted to do. And as an adult, I know what happens. I can gauge these things now. And maybe my parents were being a little too worrisome about my future and what my priorities were. But as an adult, I knew that they were being a little bit too much and that there is an amazing world out there for me to try new things. And I'm tired of the industry that I'm in. And I want to grow and I want to be more than, and I just want to have fun again. Well, this is your opportunity. I want you to I'm giving you the permission, if you don't have it already. Jump in to this adventure, reconnect with your inner child, and see what comes up out of it. Have that conversation. Write a little bit. Ask your inner child questions, and you'll get answers. You just got to ask the questions. You got to seek this information. You got to remember what it was like. It's almost like with Peter Pan in Hook, and he forgot that he was Peter Pan until he went back to Never Never Land, right? And the memory started to come back to him. Well, in essence, that's what a lot of us adults do, right? We go into adulthood and we forget what it was like to be a child and what it was like to have fun and play. Well, I'm giving you permission to do that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I love you all, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.